I need you to stop touching anything. The words hit me before I even saw who said them. I froze in the kitchen, one hand still on my baby's bottle, the other gripping the counter. Slowly, I turned around. Richard stood in the doorway. My father-in-law. Calm. Cold. Holding a thick envelope like it was nothing. What? I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't answer me. He looked past me, straight at my husband, Caleb. Tell her, Richard said. Caleb didn't move. Didn't speak. He just stared at the floor like a child caught lying. That's when my chest tightened. Tell me what? I demanded. Richard sighed like I was being difficult. Then he stepped forward, placed the envelope on the table, and slid it toward me. These are the updated ownership documents, he said flatly. This house is no longer in your name. My ears rang. What are you talking about? I whispered. Caleb finally spoke, but his voice was weak. It's temporary. Dad helped us. You know that. Helped us? I ripped open the envelope. Papers. Legal stamps. My name, gone. Replaced. With his. No, I said, shaking my head. No, this isn't real. Richard's lips curved slightly. Not a smile. Something worse. It's very real. You signed the documents yourself. I would never sign this. You already did, he replied calmly. When I refinanced your debt. That word hit me like a slap. Refinanced. My mind raced back. Months ago. Sleep deprived. Overwhelmed. Signing stacks of papers, he said, would save us. You tricked me, I said, my voice breaking. No, he corrected. I protected my son. I looked at Caleb. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when it hit me. He knew. And suddenly, I wasn't just scared. I was furious. And deep down, something told me this was only the beginning. I couldn't stop staring at the paper. My name was there. Clear. Perfect. Like I had signed it willingly. But I didn't remember doing it. I don't remember this, I said again, louder this time. Caleb, I don't remember signing anything like this. He finally looked up, but his eyes avoided mine. You signed a lot of things back then, he said quietly. We were drowning in debt. You were stressed. That doesn't mean I'd give away our house. Richard crossed his arms. You didn't give it away. You transferred it under a secured agreement. Perfectly legal. Legal. That word made my stomach drop. You said you were helping us, I snapped. I did help, he replied smoothly. Without me, you would have lost everything months ago. I turned back to Caleb. Why didn't you tell me? He hesitated. That hesitation said everything. I didn't think it mattered, he muttered. Didn't think it mattered? That I don't own the house I live in doesn't matter? The baby started crying in the next room, but none of us moved. Because this moment was louder. You're overreacting, Richard said. Nothing changes unless you make it a problem. I laughed bitterly. Oh, it's already a problem. He leaned closer, his voice low. Careful, he said. You don't have as much control here as you think. And that's when fear hit me again, because for the first time I realized I might not have any control at all. But I wasn't ready to give up yet. Not even close. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, replaying everything over and over again. The papers. The signatures. Caleb's silence. None of it made sense, but one thing felt very clear. Something was wrong. At 2 a.m., I quietly got out of bed and opened my laptop. If I really signed those documents, there had to be records. Emails. Copies. Something. I searched everything. Nothing. No emails. No scanned copies. No confirmation notices. It was like those documents appeared out of nowhere. My chest tightened. That's when I remembered something. The day I supposedly signed everything. I had just come home from the hospital. Exhausted. Emotional. Barely functioning. And Richard was there. "I'll handle everything," he had said. "Just sign where I marked." My stomach turned. I didn't read those papers. I trusted him. I trusted them. And they used it. I grabbed my phone and checked my old messages. There it was. A text from Richard that night. "Don't worry about the paperwork. It's just routine." Routine. My hands started shaking, because now I knew. He didn't just help us. He planned this. And Caleb? He had to know. I looked toward the bedroom where my husband slept peacefully, while my entire world had just been taken from me. That's when something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to cry anymore. If they thought I was weak, they were about to be very wrong. The next morning, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I waited. Caleb sat at the table, scrolling through his phone like nothing had happened. That made it worse. "You knew," I said quietly. He froze for a second, then sighed. "It wasn't like that." "Then explain it." He rubbed his face. "Dad said it was temporary, that it would protect the house from debt collectors." "And you believed him?" "Yes." I stared at him. "No," I said slowly. "You chose to believe him." He didn't answer. That silence confirmed everything. "You let him take it," I continued. "You stood there and let him take our home from me." "It's still our home," he said quickly. "No," I snapped. "It's his." That word hung in the air. His. Not ours. Not mine. Richard's. And suddenly everything made sense. The way Richard always acted like he owned everything. The way Caleb never questioned him. This wasn't new. This was control. And I had just been pulled into it. "You need to calm down," Caleb said. I laughed. "No. I need to wake up." Because now I could see it clearly. This wasn't a mistake. This was a setup. And I had walked right into it. But I wasn't trapped yet. Not if I moved fast. By afternoon, I was sitting in a small office across from a lawyer named Priya. I handed her the documents. She read them carefully. Too carefully. Finally, she looked up. "Did you sign this willingly?" "No." "Did you read it before signing?" I hesitated. "That matters," she said gently. My heart dropped. "Legally, this is binding," she continued, "unless we can prove coercion or deception." "But he lied to me." "That's hard to prove," she replied. I felt the ground slipping under me again. "So, I lost my house." "Not necessarily," she said. "But this won't be easy." She pointed at one section. "This clause, it gives him full authority." My chest tightened. "However," she added, "something feels off." "What do you mean?" "The timing. The structure. It's aggressive." Aggressive. That word stuck with me. "Someone wanted control," she said. I swallowed hard. "I know." She leaned forward. "If we're going to fight this, we need proof. Messages. Witnesses. Anything that shows you were misled." I nodded. Because now I understood. This wasn't just about what happened. It was about what I could prove. And suddenly, the fight became very real. I went home with a new mindset. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was building a case. I started small. Old emails, bank statements, messages. Hours passed. Then I found something. A bank transfer. From Richard to Caleb. The date, 2 days before the refinance. The amount, huge. Way bigger than anything we owed. My heart started racing. Why would Richard give Caleb that much money? And why didn't I know about it? I confronted Caleb immediately. "What is this?" I demanded, showing him the screen. He went pale. "It's nothing. Don't lie to me." He stayed silent. That silence was louder than any answer. "Did he pay you?" I asked slowly. "No." But his voice cracked. That was enough. Because now I had a new question. Was this about helping us, or buying control? And for the first time, I saw fear in Caleb's eyes. Which meant one thing. He knew this was bigger than we both admitted. That evening, Richard showed up unannounced. Again. Like he owned the place. Actually, he did. "I heard you went to a lawyer," he said calmly. My stomach dropped. "How do you know that?" He smiled slightly. "I stay informed." That wasn't normal. That was surveillance. "You're crossing a line," I said. "No," he replied. "You are." Caleb stood behind him, silent again. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded. Richard's expression hardened. "Because I don't trust you." That hit harder than anything. "What?" "You're unstable. Emotional. Bad with money. My son deserves security." Security. At my expense. You stole my home. I secured my son's future. I shook my head. "You didn't do this for him," I said. "You did this for control." His eyes narrowed. "And what if I did?" The room went quiet, because that was the closest thing to the truth I'd heard yet, and it terrified me. The next day, something unexpected happened. My neighbor, Mrs. Patel, stopped me outside. "I didn't want to interfere," she said carefully. "But I think you should know something." My heart started racing. "What is it?" "I saw your father-in-law here a lot when you were at the hospital." That made me freeze. "What was he doing?" She hesitated. "Meeting people. Bringing documents. Once a real estate agent." A real estate agent. Before I even signed anything, my chest tightened. "He was preparing," I whispered. Mrs. Patel nodded. "That's what it looked like." And just like that, everything changed. Because now I had proof. This wasn't help. This was planned. I didn't sleep that night. Mrs. Patel's words kept replaying in my head. A real estate agent. Before I even signed anything. That wasn't help. That was planning. Careful, quiet planning. Then something clicked. The doorbell camera. We installed it last year when the baby was born. I barely used it anymore, but it recorded everything. My hands shook as I opened the app. Scrolling back, days, weeks, months. Then I found it. The day I was in the hospital. Richard walking up to the door. Not alone. A man in a suit beside him. Clipboard in hand. They walked inside like they belonged there. I skipped forward. Another clip. Different day. Another visitor. Same pattern. Documents. Conversations. Smiles. My stomach dropped. This wasn't one meeting. It was multiple. Planned. Repeated. And then, the worst one. Caleb opening the door for them. Letting them in. Laughing. like nothing was wrong. I paused the video, replayed it, again, and again, because I needed to be sure. But there was no doubt. He knew. Not just a little. Not, I didn't think it mattered. He knew from the beginning. And suddenly, the betrayal hit deeper than before. Not just from Richard. From my own husband. I closed the app slowly. My chest felt tight. Because now I wasn't just dealing with manipulation. I was dealing with a partnership. And I was the only one left out. But now I had proof. And that changed everything. I didn't wait this time. I walked straight into the living room where Caleb sat, scrolling like nothing had happened. "Watch this," I said, placing my phone in front of him. He barely looked at first. Then he froze. The color drained from his face. "I can explain." "No," I cut him off. "Start with the truth." He stared at the screen, at himself, letting them in, helping them. "This was before everything got serious," he said weakly. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Before? Caleb, this is everything." He rubbed his face. "I thought Dad was just exploring options," he said. "We were in trouble financially. So your solution was to help him take the house?" "No, I didn't think it would go that far. But you let it start." That silence again. That same silence that kept proving me right. "You didn't just stay quiet," I said slowly. "You opened the door." He looked at me then, finally. And for the first time, he looked guilty. "I was scared," he admitted. "Of what?" "Losing everything." I shook my head. "So you chose to lose me instead." That hit harder than anything else I said. Because it was true. And we both knew it. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he whispered. "But it did," I replied. And now, there was no going back to pretending. The next morning, I went back to Priya. This time, with the footage. She watched everything carefully, then leaned back, thinking. "This helps," she said. "It shows intent." "But is it enough?" I asked. "Not yet," she admitted. "We need something stronger." Stronger. I exhaled slowly. "How?" She tapped the documents again. "There's something bothering me," she said. "This clause here." I leaned closer. "What about it?" "It transfers ownership fully," she explained. "But the structure, it's unusual." "Unusual how?" "It's too clean," she said. Almost like it was designed to avoid scrutiny. My stomach tightened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," she replied carefully, "someone who drafted this knew exactly how to hide what they were doing." That made my skin crawl. Because that meant this wasn't just Richard being controlling. This was calculated. Precise. And then she pointed at a small detail. "Look at the date." I did. And froze. "That's wrong," I whispered. The date on the document didn't match the day I signed anything. It was earlier. Days earlier. Before I even came home from the hospital. Before I could have possibly signed it. "That's impossible," I said. Priya nodded slowly. "Exactly." And just like that, the entire foundation of his plan started to crack. If Richard didn't act alone, then who helped him? That question haunted me all day, until I got an answer I didn't expect. Priya called me again. "I traced the legal drafting," she said. "And there's a lawyer attached to this." My chest tightened. "Who?" She hesitated for a second. "Ashton Blake." The name hit me like a shock. Because I knew it. Not personally. But I had heard it before. From Richard. He always bragged about his connections. I muttered. Well, Priya said, this one might be a problem. Why? Because Ashton Blake is very good at what he does. That didn't sound reassuring. And if he helped draft this, she continued, then this wasn't sloppy. It was intentional, careful, built to hold up. Unless we found something stronger. Can we go after him? I asked. Not yet, she replied. We need proof he knew you were misled. Proof. Everything came back to that. But now the situation was bigger. This wasn't just family anymore. This involved professionals. People who knew how to hide things. Which meant one thing. If I wanted to win, I had to be smarter. And faster. That night, I stood in the nursery, holding my baby. Everything felt heavier, bigger, more dangerous. This wasn't just about a house anymore. It was about control, power, and truth. I looked down at my child, and something inside me settled. No more fear, no more confusion, just clarity. I walked back into the living room where Caleb sat quietly. We're not done, I said. He nodded slowly. I know. No, I corrected. You don't. He looked up, confused. I'm not just reacting anymore, I continued. I'm fighting. There was something different in my voice. Even he could hear it. What does that mean? He asked. It means, I said, I'm going to expose everything. Richard. The account. The fake dates. The lawyer. All of it. And I won't stop until I take everything back. Caleb swallowed. You're serious. Very. For the first time. He didn't argue. Because he knew. This version of me wasn't the one they planned for. And that was their biggest mistake. Because now, I wasn't just the underdog, I was the threat. And this time, I was ready. I thought I was prepared for anything at this point. I wasn't. Priya called me in again, her tone sharper than usual. That alone made my stomach drop. When I arrived, she didn't waste time with small talk. She turned her screen toward me and said, We found something new. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then I saw my name. On a bank account. An account I had never opened. My chest tightened instantly. That's not mine, I said. I've never seen that before. Priya nodded slowly. I believe you. But legally, it exists. And it's active. She clicked through the transactions. And that's when everything stopped making sense. Large amounts of money, moving in and out, over and over again. Not small numbers, not normal transfers. This was serious money. Where is it going? I asked quietly. She paused, then looked at me. To Caleb. The room went silent. I stared at the screen like it might change if I blinked enough times. No, I whispered. No, that's not possible. But it was. The dates matched everything. The timeline. The refinance. The silence. The lies. They used your identity, Priya said carefully. And based on this pattern, it wasn't a one-time thing. My hands started shaking. Because now it was clear. This wasn't just Richard manipulating paperwork. This was calculated, systematic. And Caleb wasn't just standing by. He was part of it. I leaned back, trying to breathe. They turned me into a tool, I said. Priya didn't argue. Then we turn this into evidence, she replied. And just like that, the fight changed again. I didn't plan the confrontation. It just happened. I walked into the house, still holding the documents, and found Caleb exactly where I expected him, sitting at the table like nothing had changed. That calmness made it worse. I dropped the papers in front of him. "Explain this." He looked down, and I watched the moment it hit him. His face changed instantly. The color drained. His jaw tightened. "I can explain," he said quickly. "Then do it," I replied. He hesitated. That hesitation said everything. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," he said finally. I laughed, but it came out sharp. "That's not an explanation." He rubbed his face, avoiding my eyes. "Dad said we needed a way to move money without it being tied to our debts. He said it was temporary." "So you used my name?" I asked. "Without telling me?" "I thought it would protect us," he said. "No," I snapped. "You thought it would protect you." Silence filled the room again. That same silence that kept confirming the truth. "I didn't think it would go this far," he admitted quietly. "But you let it start," I said. That hit him harder than anything else. Because he knew it was true. "You didn't just stay quiet," I continued. "You helped him build this." He finally looked at me then. And for the first time, he didn't defend himself. Because there was nothing left to defend. And in that moment, I realized something painful. I wasn't just fighting Richard anymore. I was fighting the person I trusted most. That night felt different. Not quieter. Heavier. Caleb didn't leave. He stayed in the living room, like he didn't know where else to go. For once, he didn't try to act normal. He didn't pretend everything was fine. After hours of silence, he spoke. "I'll help you." I didn't respond right away. I just stood there, watching him. "Why now?" I asked finally. He swallowed hard. "Because I see what he's doing now. I didn't before. Not fully." "That's convenient," I said. "I know," he replied. "But it's true." I crossed my arms. "You were part of it." "Yes," he admitted. "At the start. But not like this." That word again. Not like this. It always came too late. "I have messages," he continued, "between me and him. About everything." My heart skipped. "Everything?" "Yes," he said. "The house. The account. His plans." "Plans?" I repeated. He nodded. And then he said something that changed everything. "He's planning to sell the house." My stomach dropped instantly. "When?" "Soon," Caleb said. "He's already talking to buyers." The room felt smaller. Because now the timeline wasn't open anymore. It was closing. Fast. I looked at Caleb again. Really looked at him. "Give me the messages," I said. He nodded without hesitation. And for the first time since this started, the balance of power began to shift. Priya didn't waste a second. The moment she saw the messages, her entire approach changed. I could see it in the way she sat up straighter, the way her tone sharpened. "This is what we needed," she said. "Not hope. Not assumptions. Proof. Real, undeniable proof." The messages showed everything. Richard instructing Caleb. Telling him how to move money. How to keep me out of the loop. Even discussing the house like it was already his. "This establishes intent," Priya explained. He knew exactly what he was doing. My chest tightened. "And Caleb?" I asked. She paused. "He was involved," she said carefully. "But there's a difference between leading and following." That difference mattered, because it meant something could still be salvaged. "What do we do now?" I asked. "We move fast," she replied. We file for an emergency injunction. That stops any sale immediately. Do it, I said without hesitation. Because now, waiting wasn't an option. If Richard sold the house, everything would be gone. We worked for hours, filing documents, organizing evidence, building a timeline that couldn't be ignored. Every piece fit together now, too perfectly, and that made it stronger. Before I left, Priya looked at me seriously. He's not going to sit quietly, she warned. I know, I said. Be ready, she added. I nodded, because for the first time, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was ahead. I woke up to something that made my heart stop. A for sale sign, right in front of the house. Big, clear, public. My chest tightened instantly. He wasn't waiting. He was rushing, trying to sell before anything could stop him. For a moment, panic hit me. What if we were too late? What if everything we did didn't matter? Then my phone rang. Priya. It's filed, she said. The injunction is in place. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until that moment. What does that mean? I asked. It means he can't sell anything, she replied. Not legally. Relief hit me hard. But it didn't last long. Because right then, Richard walked outside. He saw the sign. Then he saw me. And then, a car pulled up. A courier stepped out and handed him an envelope. He opened it right there. I watched his face change. Slowly, subtly, but enough. For the first time, he didn't look in control. He looked angry, really angry. He stormed toward me. What did you do? He demanded. I protected myself, I said calmly. You think this will stop me? He snapped. I know it will, I replied. He stared at me, and for the first time, he didn't have a response, because this time, he moved too fast. And it cost him. The deeper we dug, the clearer the truth became. And it was worse than I expected. Priya uncovered financial records tied to Richard's business. At first, it looked normal. Standard transactions. Nothing unusual. Then the pattern shifted. Losses. Large ones. Repeated failures. Hidden debts. I stared at the numbers, trying to process it. This can't be right, I said. It is, Priya replied. He's broke. Not just broke, she said. Desperate. That word changed everything, because desperation explains behavior. Risk. Control. Manipulation. So this wasn't about helping us, I said slowly. No, she replied. It was about saving himself. My chest tightened. He needed assets, she continued. Fast. And your house was the easiest target. Because it was in my name. Because I trusted him. Because I didn't question anything. And suddenly, every word he said made sense. I protected my son. No, he protected himself. At my expense. At my trust. At my life. I clenched my fists. Because now, this wasn't just personal. It was calculated exploitation. And that made it worse. Because it meant none of this was accidental. The courtroom felt colder than I expected. Not just in temperature, but in energy. This wasn't my home. This wasn't a conversation I could walk away from. This was final. Real. And everything I had fought for was about to be tested in one room. Richard walked in first. Same posture. Same calm face. Like nothing had changed. But I saw it now. The small things. The tight jaw. The way his eyes moved too quickly. The tension he couldn't fully hide. He wasn't as confident as before. And that mattered. Caleb sat beside me, quieter than I had ever seen him. Not defensive. Not distant. Just there. Watching it all unfold like he finally understood the weight of what he had done. Priya stood, steady and focused. She didn't rush. She didn't need to, because the evidence spoke for itself. She started with the house documents, the mismatched dates, the lack of clear consent. Then she moved to the hidden account, the transactions, the pattern, and finally, the messages. Each one placed carefully, each one building the same story. Control, manipulation, intent. Richard's lawyer tried to interrupt, tried to twist things, called it family misunderstanding. But that didn't hold, because facts don't bend under pressure. I sat there, hands clenched, heart racing, but something inside me was calm. For the first time since this started, I wasn't being talked over. I wasn't being dismissed. I was being heard. And Richard, for the first time, he wasn't controlling the narrative. He was trapped inside it. It didn't happen with shouting. It didn't happen with drama. It happened with one simple question. The judge leaned forward slightly and asked, "Did you clearly inform her that she was transferring full ownership of the property?" The room went silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. Richard didn't answer right away. That hesitation felt louder than anything else in the room, because this was the moment, the one question he couldn't control. Finally, he spoke. No. Just one word. But it shattered everything. His lawyer tried to step in, tried to soften it, tried to explain, but it was too late. Because that answer confirmed everything. No clear consent. No transparency. Just control. I felt my breath catch, because I knew what that meant. The entire foundation of his plan was broken. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time since all of this started, he looked small, not powerful, not confident, just a man who made one mistake too many. And that mistake cost him everything. The wait for the decision felt endless. Even though it wasn't, minutes stretched like hours. Every second felt heavier than the last. I kept replaying everything in my mind, wondering if there was something we missed. Something he could still twist. Then the judge returned. And everything went still. The words came clearly, carefully, but the meaning was immediate. The ownership transfer was invalid. The house, returned to me. The account, under formal investigation. The actions, flagged for fraud. I didn't react right away. I couldn't, because it didn't feel real. After everything, after the fear, the anger, the sleepless nights, it was over. I won. Not just emotionally, not just morally, legally, completely. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. Real relief. The kind that settles deep in your chest. I looked over at Richard. He didn't look at me. He couldn't, because for the first time, there was nothing left for him to say. And for the first time, there was nothing left for me to fear. Losing the case wasn't the worst part for Richard. That came after, because once the truth was out, it spread, quietly at first, then faster. Business partners started asking questions. People who once trusted him stepped back. Deals fell through. Calls stopped being returned. Reputation matters. And his was gone. The investigation into the accounts didn't help either. More details came out, more patterns, more evidence of how far he had gone. It wasn't just one decision, it was a series of them, all leading to the same place: control. And now, he had none. Even Caleb stepped away, not dramatically, not loudly, but clearly, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. I watched it all happen from a distance, not with joy, but with clarity, because this wasn't revenge in the way people expect. It wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was consequence. And sometimes, that's stronger. Winning didn't fix everything. It didn't erase the betrayal. It didn't undo the trust that was broken. But it gave me something more important: choice. I walked through my home slowly that evening. My home. That word felt different now. Stronger. Earned. Every room held memories, but now they felt clearer. Not controlled. Not uncertain. Mine. Caleb tried to talk. He apologized. More than once. Said he didn't see how far it would go. Said he regretted everything. And I believed him. But belief doesn't rebuild trust overnight. Some things take time. Some things never go back. And that's the truth no one likes to say out loud. I didn't push him away completely. But I didn't pretend either. Because I had learned something important. Love without honesty isn't safe. Trust without awareness isn't strength. And silence can cost you everything. So I chose differently this time. I chose clarity. I chose boundaries. And most of all, I chose myself. If you followed this story this far, there's something you need to understand. This didn't start with a big betrayal. It started small. A signature I didn't question. A conversation I didn't push. A moment where I trusted instead of verifying. And that's how it happens. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Until one day, you realize everything has changed. So here's what I learned. Ask questions, even when it feels uncomfortable. Read everything, even when you're tired. And never ignore that small voice that tells you something isn't right. Because that voice, it's there to protect you. I almost lost everything, not because I was weak, but because I trusted blindly. And trust without awareness is risk. But here's the other side. You can fight back. You can take control again, without losing who you are, without becoming cruel, just by standing firm in the truth. So if this story made you feel something, share it, because someone out there is standing where I once stood. Confused, trusting, unsure. And maybe this story will help them see it sooner, before it's too late.